In this video, we're going to take a look at building a parametric table. So we're going to have a lot of reference planes in here, so we're going to take it slow, but we do want to get all of our reference planes in first, and then with our dimensions and then parameters applied to those dimensions before we even start modeling. So let's go to start with our Create tab, Reference Plane. I'm going to start with just a tabletop overall. And I am going to put dimensions in here in the middle before we start to get a lot of reference planes in there and start to get confused. All right, and I'm going to go ahead now and name this the table width. This can be or I guess that would be length, either or. The important thing is that you know what it is associated to, right? So I've got overall constraints for that. Now I'm going to put in some reference planes for the legs. So I've got 4 table legs. So we need to have a reference plane going around each one of them. And now the table legs also are not right on the edge of the table. They might be, but for this one, we're going to offset them so you could see how that would work. So I'm going to go ahead and put in dimensions for that. So this is going to be the offset from the outside of the table. And I'm going to go ahead and pull these, just pull them back a little bit more so they're out of our way. So we're gonna have a lot of these. So I want to make sure that all of these are the exact same dimension. So when I apply a parameter, they need to be the same dimension to be able to apply the same parameter to it. So make sure that all of these are 3 inches, right? So that I'm just gonna call that the offset. So I'm gonna go ahead and first of all, I have to create that parameter. Now that I have it created, I'm gonna hold down Control to select all 3. And now I have it created, I can select all 3 and then apply that offset. And same thing for these. I'm just going to move them up so we got some more parameters put in. All right, so that's going to be the offset all the way around. So this would be your tabletop perimeter here. All right, so now the legs are going to go inside here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use my offset command. And I'm going to go with 3 inches here so that it's similar. Oh, it won't let me offset those. Okay, well, it can copy them. And let's actually go 4 inches. So I'm going to copy one 4 inches down. I'm going to copy this one 4 inches over. Copy this 4 inches up. And copy this 4 inches over. You could also draw in new ones. I think it's just easier to use what's there to create new ones so you can control that spacing. So now you start to see this is the edge of your table here, right? And this is where one of the table legs is going to go. So we need parameters to control all that. So I need to go to my table legs. I want one from here to here, here to here. And that's going to control it all the way down, right? So I don't need to put them on the bottom as well. That's going to over constrain the sketch here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a parameter for that. And then now that is created, I'll select these other 3, holding down Control to do that, and I'll apply the same parameter. All right, so now we've got this built in here for the X and the Y. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my elevation here. And I'm going to set in a tabletop height. And I'm going to draw a second one so that I can control the depth of the tabletop. Actually, you know what? I'm going to lock that one. We're going to do tabletop height, and then this one here, I'll put it at 2 inches. I'm going to lock that. So that means whenever this one moves, that one will also move with it. All right, so I'm setting that as a constant. If you want to be able to change that, that's fine. You can set that to another parameter. All right, so I've got a lot of parameters and the reference planes in. So now let's go ahead and go start modeling. So first thing, I'm going to go to create. We're going to do this all with extrusions. So I'm going to do extrusion, and I like to use my pick lines. Again, it's the cleanest, especially with these reference planes, right? Because they're going to start to get a little bit messy. All right, so each time I pick the line and I lock it. TR shortcut for my trim extend. And I'm going to trim that all the way around. All right, so there we go. I've got we can go ahead and close all those. I'll go ahead and put up the 3D next to it so we can watch it as we build here. All right, so that is flat on the ground right now. So I want to go to my elevation, and I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to lock it to that reference plane, pull, and it's kind of grabbing to it. You can see it kind of jump to it. And once it jumps, I'm going to lock it down. All right, so that thinned it up and brought it up higher up here. All right, so now I have my tabletop in. So now I want to do the tabletop legs, or the legs. So I'm going to go back to create. I'm going to go back to extrusion. All right, and this one in particular seems to get a little bit messy, but stick with me here. All right, so we know the table legs are going to go in here, 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 and here. So I'm going to use these reference planes. I'm going to do all of them. I'm going to click and lock, click, lock, click, lock. You get the idea. The same thing for these verticals. All right, so now I've got all these lines, they're all locked, right? But right now they're still just one line across. So if I start to trim, I'm gonna lose my other table leg over here. So I'm gonna use my split element. I'm gonna split these lines down the center. It doesn't have to be in the center, just anywhere between them. And I'm gonna split all 8 of them. Okay, now I can come back with my trim extend and trim up each of these table legs. All right, so you see how that starts to come together there? It starts to clean that up. There we go. All right, so I'm going to finish that, and there's my table legs. Now you can see we have a little bit of a height issue here. So go back to that elevation. On this one too, it's very, very important that when I bring this up, I don't want to lock it to the other element. All right, so you can see it highlighting there. It's highlighting the reference plane, which is perfect. If it's highlighting the other element, you're going to want to hide this element just to get it out of the way. You know, let's just hide it. Very important to get it locked to the reference plane, not the other element. All right. If you start to lock to other elements, it's going to start to get very messy, and it makes it easy for things to break. So always lock forms to reference planes is a really good rule. All right. So now I have my tabletop here. All right. So let's take a look at it. Let's check all of our parameters, make sure they're working. All right. So let's check the first one here, our table height. Apply that. All right, that looks good. The tabletop went up with it. The height, the width and depth of it stayed consistent, but that height adjusted. 5 foot might be a little high, so we'll adjust that. This is the width of my table legs, so that's good. That worked. So they got smaller. This one they got bigger. They're adjusting, and they're all adjusting well, so that is good. Now let's check the table length. Let's try 10 foot. All right, so that's good. That's adjusting, and let's try my width here. All right, there we go. So it looks like everything is working well and all of my parameters are functioning here. All right, so I can also at this point in time apply a material parameter. So let's go ahead, and we learn that if we want to do a parameter, not just apply material directly, we click here. All right, and the importance of doing this is that it allows us to assign different materials to different types in a project. All right, so, and I want to make sure I do a save as, save my table. All right, there we go. And now let's go ahead and open a project here so we can load it in. And then you can make new types. So I'm just gonna adjust some of my dimensions in here. Woo. And let's apply some materials. Maybe this is just a neon table. You guys, you know, can make better material choices. Just going through this since we've already learned how to make materials. And another one, just applying different ones so that you can see how it works here. All right, now take a look at it in 3D. Now I have 3 different types of that table. You can make another one for that. All right, then if I wanted to put these on a sheet and have a view tag for each one, I would duplicate this 3D view 3 times, or twice, I guess, so you would have one of each. And then I would hide in one of them. I would hide the other 2 tables. And then in this one, I would hide this table and this table, etc.